Dark Souls is a game where you as a little guy tries to become the darkest soul with comically large weapons. If you're like me, then your typical run starts with the Gravelord sword or the Zweilander throughout the mid-game, and then you get your stinky little paws on Smo's Tom and Jerry mallet. It's for that reason that I decided I wanted to play the entire Soul series with only a bow, because honestly it's the last weapon I'd ever pick in a video game. You gotta understand, I'm a Reinhardt main who hates Hanzos. And look, I understand there's plenty of videos where people beat the game with bows only. I haven't seen those videos yet, but I'm assuming we probably took semi-similar approaches to the game. But this is one I wanted to try for myself, break out of my Fallout New Vegas comfort zone. So with that, we begin with the dubious and sexual question of, can you beat Dark Souls Remastered with only a bow? And let me answer that for you right now. No, you cannot. Do you know the reason why you can't? Sound out below in the comments if you want to take a guess. We begin our playthrough like any other, in the confines of Doc Mitchell's the Undead Asylum. Oscar drops a corpse on us, which I'm fairly certain is waging biological warfare, and we begin our journey. Running past the few enemies in the asylum to rush to Oscar, we nick some Estus off the dying man, find baby's first bow, and 30 arrows. It took almost a minute and a half to slay the Asylum Demon. With that, we now have 12 arrows and a dream. More has been made from less. We shoot Mr. Whiny Crestfallen Knight a few times, quickly realize this is a fight I can't win, so I nonchalantly run away and oh no, he seemingly fell off. What an idiot. In the Undead Burg, we find our salvation, the first undead merchant who sells arrows. Early game, the bow can be somewhat annoying. It's not a bad weapon by any means and surpasses my expectations of it. It's kind of like a plant. If you don't give it enough sunlight and Jack Daniels, it's just not going to get anywhere. So early game, we need to farm to have a surplus of arrows. Luckily, there's not a giant difference in the damage the arrows do, so for the majority of the game, wooden arrows at the cost of 3 souls per arrow is going to carry us to the light. I'll save standard and large arrows for bosses primarily. We slowly make our way through the burg, taking care of any and all enemies, but then the very hubris that makes us human took over me and I thought, can I cheese the Dark Knight? And you know what? After 3 minutes of some archery antics, I'd say he was properly parmesaned. Making use of the master key, I sought the rock. It took over 10 minutes to beat this man for a ring that I don't think I'd have a real use for until later in the game. But sometimes we do the things we don't really want to do. For some, it's walking their dog, writing an essay for their course. I explain it to your boomer coworker that you don't know their work email password and it's not actually your fault that they can't log in, or standing at a door frame for 10 minutes. The Taurus Demon was, well, it's the Taurus Demon. Can't say much about that. I decided to get the Drake Sword for no reason other than I do it every playthrough. It was just a waste of arrows, but that's no difference from getting the Drake Sword in any other playthrough, am I right, fellas? Honestly, the Drake Sword gets so much hate and I don't get it. It's a great early game weapon. I decided to farm the Dragon's Fire for a little bit and get some more arrows. Then I made a run for it. I wanted to get through the gate before the pig could get through. That didn't work. The second time was much better though. I didn't time this bit because I was so ashamed. I kept shooting the knight from a far distance, and it kind of seemed like it was getting hit, but damage wasn't registering. Even if I was only doing 1 damage a shot, I should have had more of his health taken away, I'm pretty sure, but it just wasn't. But yeah, I messed up there. He won the battle of morale this time, but I'll get mine. I beat up the Titanite Demon, beat up the Knight, and got my ass handed to me by the Gargoyles. A better man than I could cheese them, but I'd have to rely on Titanite shards to upgrade. With a +5 bow, I knocked them down like an HOA member knocks on the door to harass single mothers. The bell was rung and the priest was silenced. Got to level 22, my biggest stats being 21 vitality and dexterity. I accidentally shot Lautrec 3 times, and ran away, and uh-oh, he fell off via my bow. What an idiot. I found another Dark Knight, and this time around, I actually held my own. After killing the skeleton dragon, I decided Blighttown was next. I wanted Quelaag in every sense of the word. A bow was honestly the easiest way to traverse Blighttown that I've ever done. I wish 12-year-old me was smart enough to do this, but he was too busy trying to look up anime that was only available in 144p. Y'all remember those days? Once reaching the bottom of the swamp, I set my sights on the insects that were in the distance. I realized that they spawned a stupid amount of them. I mean, come on from software, what is this? Some sadistic bullshit, that's what it is. I lit the bonfire and engaged in a fight with Maneater Mildred. Though I call it a fight, it was more akin to abuse with invisible walls. We finally reached the beautiful lady known as Quelaag. I skipped the cutscene out of fear what YouTube might do to me in my sleep and began the onslaught. As you can see, it took many right bumper clicks to kill her. 76 arrows and a dream. I rung that motherfucking bell like it was a Smosh video. Lit the bonfire and ran into hell. So, funny thing with the Ceaseless Discharge boss fight, I actually didn't know about the tactic to make the thing kill itself. I did things the good old-fashioned pull yourself up by the bootstraps kind of a way, meaning I hid, I rolled, and I shot more arrows into that than any man should have. I used around 200 arrows for this boss fight. I'm not going back and counting everyone I missed though, so you know, it is what it is. I killed all the Taurus Demons thinking it'd be worth it, but honestly, it wasn't. I had no way of traversing the lava and no intention of using chaos weapons. I found the boss door for Fire Sage, but forgot I needed to activate the Lord Vessel. Look, it's been years since I played this game, okay? I got clubbed in the back of the head, but ultimately made it out with my souls and humanity. I killed the not as hot spider lady for her Firekeeper soul. Look, I've seen Prepared to Cry, you know, but like, I'm not giving her 30 humanity. I'll take the free Estus bonus. Next, I decided to ice the Moonlight Butterfly. I kept missing my shots, but eventually we did get there. Using the souls I had acquired, I decided it was time to get the Crest of Artorias and find myself the fairest Black Bow. As a legend within the challenge YouTuber community would say, this is where the real game begins. With the Black Bow of Ferris in hand, I planned on decimating all the opposition. Next up was my fight with Sif. And look, okay, I know someone's gonna say, but fella, why didn't you do the DOC to get the sad cutscene? And to that, I simply say, I didn't want to do Sense Fortress quite yet. This boss fight was beyond easy with the bow. As long as you keep your build light, you can dodge with ease and get a few shots off. It was especially easy when he started limping around. I backtracked to take down the Capra Demon with the same cheese that did in the Dark Knight of Undeadburg. I obtained the large Ember in the Depths, met King Sinker Frompt, and I harassed the local clergy. I upgraded the Black Bow to +9, relieved the suffering of a wandering Onion Knight, and eventually faced the Iron Golem. It took over 30 shots, but the bow was doing surprisingly good damage for an opponent not made of flesh. We flew Delta Airlines over to Anorlando, flirted with the handsomest man of Astora, and turned my Black Bow into a lightning bow. My plan here is that Smo has a weakness to lightning. I'm confident in my ability to dodge Ornstein, but a hit from Smo could be deadly. Ornstein can be pretty easily evaded by use of the pillars, sometimes his AI gets some Alzheimer's. I found the fake, went back to Frompt, and realized my mistake. At this point in the game, I was planning on meeting with Koth, but accidentally went down under with Frompt. With no homeward bone, I opted to completely waste a Ring of Sacrifice to return back. I went to New Londo to release the floodgates and got my ass handed to me by the Four Kings. I decided instead I'd fight the Darkmoon Twink who we all love. I shot the greatest sight in Anorlando, defeated a Firekeeper whose dodging was beyond my understanding, and began a moderately annoying boss fight. This was definitely a fight that made me miss using a heavy weapon. I think a bow just isn't the way to fight Gwendolyn. Between the attack spam and inability to fire at him from a distance, it made for a longer battle than it should have been. We still won though. Took me 12 minutes, but we won. Afterwards, I went underground and decided to meet everyone's favorite NPC, Patches. Unfortunate for Patches, I know his game. I've fallen victim for his baby blues and soft oaky voice many times before, but not this time, my beloved. I shot him down metaphorically, and by that I mean I shot him in a very literal sense. I killed another Titanite demon, which is kinda silly because I stand to gain nothing. I then decided to join the Gravelord Covenant, which again is silly because I stand to gain nothing. I kinda forget that Pinwheel is actually an early game boss. I mean, that's what people say, but I also don't think he is. The level to get the Pinwheel is harder than the actual boss. I love Dark Souls 1, but this is one of those design choices that makes you want to put a certain item in your mouth. I hate the Tomb of the Giants. If Tomb of the Giants has 0 haters, it means I am no longer of this world. Once I finally got through, I remembered I didn't place the Lord Vessel. And I'm not beating the Four Kings the way I am now, it just ain't happening. So I swallowed my pride and went with Frompt. But first I tried the Four Kings again. I died. I went to broth out of Great Lord Nito, but I didn't have the jam. I decided to keep my Black Bow a regular weapon, but make my short bow divine to keep the Skelly Men dead in the fight. I also got the Hawkeye ring, which yes, I'm sure someone has mentioned in the comments now. I'm an idiot for not doing earlier. I know I'm my own worst enemy. After Nito, I went back to Anorlando to get Havel's armor, and then I challenged Fire Sage. This fight is actually foreshadowing of Elden Ring, where they will reuse the same enemy 3 times over for the same boss fight. Demon Centipede was annoying, but you can make him glitch out of the room and win the fight. Now maybe this isn't actually beating him with the bow, but really what defines a bow and an arrow? I put Knight Kirk into the fucking ground and challenged the Chaos Bed. I killed the right side, then died, killed the left side, then quit the menu, and then I finally beat the tiny little Chaos Bug. Next was Seath the Albino, and guess what? Yes, you guessed it. This is where the run falls apart. An invisible wall stops you from shooting an arrow at the guard, so we punched him. And with that, we learn you cannot beat Dark Souls 1 with only a bow. However, as you can tell from the video's timeline, we're gonna keep going. Seath is a funny boss because he's the type where getting to him is 10 times worse than the actual fight, kind of like Pinwheel. Like, your first time getting through the Duke's archives kinda sucks, and then the potential for falling to your death is just annoying as hell, but Seath himself is fine. Now for the bane of my existence, the Four Kings. I got my ass handed to me, but this time it was close. We're making progress. I opted to return to Sense Fortress and hunt down the covetous ring to better farm Titanite chunks. I forgot to record it, but I beat the Asylum Demon for the Titanite slab. Likewise, I used rubbish to trade for an additional chunk. With the Black Bow of Ferris at 15, we were finally cooking. 51 arrows in a dream, and we put the multiplying greedy bastard into an abyssal grave. I did the Lord Vessel Big Boy Souls thing and abused Fromt. Now it's DLC time, baby, let's go. I killed the Hydra and decided to do you, the viewer, a favor and cut out the DLC prep work, because it sucks. Within the land of Ulasil, we fought the Sanctuary Guardian. As you can imagine me at the end of the game, we're kind of over leveled for what we're supposed to be fighting at this point. The Sanctuary Guardian was something of a chump. Artorias was a better contender, but still not up to par. You know what's funny? I actually planned on making the DLC a separate video, but didn't know how short it was. And yes, I ignored the dragon. This is my first time playing through it. I didn't realize there are only 3 mandatory bosses and that it's effectively a straight line. After Artorias, I decided to kill his girlfriend and then went on to fight Manus. Using the bow against Manus turned the father of the abyss into a deadbeat dad. Also, I accidentally killed Dusk. I didn't know you could talk to her after the DLC. That was my bad. I thought the arrow would like wake her up, but it actually made her sleep longer and forever. And finally, it was time to face off against Lord Gwyn. You know for a fact we're still rocking the giant dad mask in Havel's armor. The Lord Gwyn fight was actually kind of close. He ran me down 17 Estus before I won. But as I said, I did end up winning. The Plin Pling Plongs did more damage than Gwyn ever could. I tried a homeward bone out, but no dice. I refused to be part of this wacky immolating religion and became the Dark Lord. And with that, my friends, I failed to beat Dark Souls Remastered with only a bow. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like to see more Dark Souls content, let me know. Typically I stay with Fallout, but if people want to see more SoulsBorne jazz, I'm all for it. Thank you again. I'll catch you all next time.